Happy monstering! And welcome to another episode of My Singing Monsters Live, your one-stop shop for everything to do with My Singing Monsters. We are your hosts, Monster Handler Matt.
And Monster Handler Eric here on a very exciting episode 80.
Episode 80 of My Singing Monsters Live, the Big 80. Eric, it's lovely to see you again.
Oh, thank you. You guys did an excellent job hosting the show.
You were business handler Eric last week, but you returned to your monster handler duties this week, and we're pleased as punch to have you back because it's been an exciting week in the monster world. But before we launch into all that excitement, we have a couple of housekeeping items that we want to take care of here right off the top of episode 80 of My Singing Monsters Live. And one of those, perhaps the most pressing, is the giveaway. Eric, why don't you explain to the kind people who are tuning in to episode 80 how the giveaway works here on My Singing Monsters Live?
Well, I'd love to. All you have to do as a viewer is in the YouTube chat, type !giveaway, and you will be entered to win a prize. Now, why is that important? Because at the end of every episode, we pick one winner and we give them a prize.
Oh, Eric, you did a marvelous job of explaining how the giveaway works, but I have to stop you right there because I regret to tell you that not all the information that you just relayed was totally accurate. You were, of course, correct in saying that to enter the giveaway, you need to put ! I am pleased to announce that this episode, to celebrate episode 80 of My Singing Monsters Live, we will be doing not one, not two, not four, but 8 giveaways over the course. I checked your fingers there to make sure you counted correctly. Yes, 8 giveaways over the course of this episode. And you know what? We're going to switch it up as well. And normally we keep it a surprise about what is at the end of the we save it for the end of the episode, but we're going to announce right now, and perhaps this is a little bit of a spoiler about what stuff that we're just about to get into, but whatever, so be it. It's episode 80. We're doing it live.
Yeah.
The giveaways today are going to be alternating between giveaways of green prismatic dandy-doo and a fire rare of your choice. So giveaway 1 will be prismatic dandy-doo, giveaway 2 will be fire rare, and then odds and evens. That's the exciting stuff that's happening this episode. And we've got our ever-ready, diligent, hardworking monster handler, Sydney, who is operating the chat today, and she's going to be instrumental, there's a music pun there for you, instrumental in helping us select all of these winners. So exercise some patience with us as we pluck all these winners, because we're going to be doing them one at a time over the course of the episode. Why don't we ask Monster Handler Sydney to grab that very first giveaway winner while we explain another piece of exciting news that happened actually in the human world this past week.
That's right.
But that relates to My Singing Monsters.
And winning prizes.
That's right. Thanks to all of the votes that were submitted by our devoted community, we are pleased to announce that My Singing Monsters was the People's Voice winner in the Best Audio and Sound category at the Webby Awards. Yes, we are so thrilled and honored that you thought of us and that you voted for us, and it's such an awesome distinction for us to receive. We love hearing that you guys think that we were worthy of that prize, and so to celebrate, make sure that you go and check your mailbox in My Singing Monsters this weekend, because we've left a little something in everyone's mailbox as a celebration of this fun achievement. Eric, were you just logging in and checking your mailbox right there?
I just took a quick peek.
Well, isn't that nice? Okay, we've got our first giveaway winner. Thank you, Sydney. The winner of the green prismatic dandy-doo is Mr. Beast Mode. Mr. Beast Mode. Congratulations, Mr. Beast Mode. So please send us your Dawn of Fire BBB ID /friend code /support ID, and we will be able to deliver that green prismatic dandy-doo to you. Okay, let's head back into the archives, the history of what happened on this day in My Singing Monsters history. Monster handler Michael, who is diligently behind the camera. Everyone's diligent. That's my favorite adjective to describe the people who aren't on the camera. Diligent. We're diligent too, but in a different way. So on this day, in My Singing Monsters history, the ethereal Dragon was available for the very first time in 2014. An awesome ethereal hybrid. Many favorites. Fan favorite monster in the community, I know, and obviously gets along very well with Clamble because of their similar, similar sort of musical stylings. Then fast forwarding to 2015, we got Rare Drumpler released for the very first time. As you know, Rare Drumpler, very near and dear to my heart. Its long, sloping forehead, I like to think is a bit of an homage to my own massive dome. And then moving forward to, and I've got almost 2019 here, where the Fire Rares, they actually came out on the 21st of May, but it was so close because I decided to include it because it is relevant to this weekend's sales. So let's go move forward to see what's going on this weekend in My Singing Monsters. Ooh, as many astute viewers and people on social media predicted, it is an out-of-season special for the awesome seasonal of the Fire Islands, available to buy or breed for an extended weekend period of availability. Some sharp-eyed people might have noticed the feast ember-like light shining onto Rare Noggin during its solo this past week. That was our first clue. In addition to that, why I included mention of the Fire Rares and on this day is because we've got our Warm Hearts promotion running as well, where all Fire Rares are available to buy or breed on the Fire and Magical Islands, including a few on islands where they were missing. We've got some Rare Stog and Rare Fangler appearances on Fairy and Bone Island, where they were never there before. Very exciting. So make sure to round out your monster collections that way. We've also got monster-sized diamond discounts happening this weekend as well, up to 60% off featured packs. And we've got 3 times more in the diamond, coin, and treat offer walls this weekend. That should help you collect all the currency that you need to take advantage of all those awesome special offers. Moving over to Dawn of Fire. This week revealed to us that the prismatic Dandy-Doo is going to make its big debut in the Prism Gate on Cloud Island. This is a very unusual, a very unusual prismatic, and I'm sure more than one question will be coming in that we can answer all about it in our questions period later on. We also have 50% off featured fire hybrids on the outer islands. And what's special about this group of featured fire hybrids? Well, they happen to be all of the same monsters whose rare variants are available to buy or breed in My Singing Monsters this weekend. Isn't it nice how these things sort of align through time and space, Eric? Sweet serendipity. In addition to that, we've got 50% off all the Space Island themed decorations, which I thought worked really well with our sort of thing from outer space vibe that Prismatic Dandy-Doo is giving off. And you can get 50% more in featured currency packs, the Reliquary of Coins, and the Bowl of Diamonds. And to top it all off, you can get 2 times more in the offer walls this weekend, both the coin and the diamond offer walls in Dawn of Fire. Okay, that was a lot to get through. Lots of exciting stuff. Let's ask Monster Handler Sydney now to draw up the next 2 giveaway winners. So this next winner of giveaway number 2 is going to be getting a Fire Rare of their choice, and winner 3 is going to be getting a green Prismatic Dandy-Doo. That's the rarest of the 6 prismatic colors that Dandy-Doo is festooned in its prismatic appearance in Dawn of Fire.
That's quite the prize.
So while Monster Handler Sydney is plucking those winners for number 2 and 3, Monster Handler Eric, would you like to launch right into a little section we like to call Quick Questions?
Quick Questions? Oh, I'd love to, Monster Handler.
Okay. Thank you for being so cooperative.
Oh, quick note from our support team for the show. I'd like to remind everybody that once you enter the keyword !giveaway once, you do not need to enter it again for every other giveaway. 1 entry will make you viable for all 8 of the giveaways today.
Yes.
So there you go. Okay.
A very important point to repeat. It bears repeating. Thank you, Monster Handler Eric.
So, first question comes from Abby G. Oh, it's for me. It says, when Eric was co-host, I noticed that there was some sort of whiteboard behind him with sketches on it. Could those sketches possibly be storyboards?
Eric, I can't help but notice that you've got sort of a new look there to your home Monster Handler setup.
That's right. I
around a bit.
Yes, I've shifted to a new home office location, but I do still have exactly what Abby G is describing here, which, well spotted, is in fact storyboards. While working at home, I've been enjoying putting the storyboards up on the wall next to my computer, and then once the video is finished, I've been using it as a backdrop for the show because I thought it was a nice little Easter egg, and somebody noticed. With that being said, I know they're very hard to see, obviously. I'm not going to ask anybody to try to zoom in on the low resolution of those images, but I did think maybe people would want to peek at them. And since this is the Big 8-0, I thought maybe we could pull back the curtain a little bit on videos. I've seen questions before about behind-the-scenes things, and so here's what I thought we would do. I took some storyboards. I took some rough cut material, and a rough cut is basically the shape of the video forming using placeholders and unfinished pieces, and I took the final product. I put all of those together so that they would play and people can view all three of those, if that's something people would be interested in seeing.
I think that they would be thrilled to see that sort of behind-the-scenes look. Eric, right before we play that special presentation that you've prepared, I would like to announce the winners of giveaways 2 and 3, because Monster Handler Sydney has successfully retrieved them. So the winner of the Fire Rare of their choice is going to be I think it's pronounced the Yarosh family, that's Jarosz, the Yarosh family. Congratulations, Yarosh family. And winner 3 of the Green Prismatic Dandy Doo is World of Skull. Congratulations. A reminder, please put your BBB ID /friend code /support ID in the chat, and we will retrieve that and know exactly where to send your prizes. Okay, Eric, I digress. Back to your important,
okay, a couple of notes before we show these. 1, I am not an artist. These storyboards are drawn by me, and they are very not artisty. And I want to say, from a professional perspective, they are not the best model of storyboards. If you at home are interested in learning how to storyboard, I highly recommend you look online. There's tons of great material to help you do that. As I work with the same people in and out every day on these videos, we've developed a sort of shorthand that lets me get away with very messy work. So don't take that as an example, but this will show you sort of how it transforms.
And many monsters have very short hands, so it sort of works.
Exactly. And you might also notice, because the process, things obviously change with the process, some of the clips might be slightly different than the finished video, but we'll discuss a little bit of that once we play it.
All right, let's see it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Very impressive, Monster Handler Eric. Now, you mentioned that you had some insights that you wanted to share. Now, several videos were featured in that little reel of the various steps in the process of making video. Was there anything specifically that you wanted to comment on, Eric?
Well, I'm sure that people in the community will have questions about two specific changes that were made between the storyboards and rough cuts and the final product. So let's go ahead and answer them. First one being, in the Bone Island video, in the finished video, Tring throws the bone first. But in the rough cut, it's Flower who throws the bone first. And correct me if I'm wrong, Monster Handler Matt, but I believe our thought process was Flower is typically a fairly grumpy, low-energy monster, so to speak.
That's certainly the vibe it wants to evoke, that's for sure.
And we wanted to show that Stod was having a great time with these monsters right off the bat, so it kind of made sense for Flower to take a step back and be a bit more reluctant to play until the second throw. So that explains that change. Second, in the Dawn of Fire video announcing the hotels, we had Kana hanging out with Furcorn on the island in the finished video, and in the rough version, it was Man. The rough version for this video was actually completed. One of the first things is a proof of concept, even before storyboarding. And so once that concept was fleshed out, we knew Mammoth was a placeholder. I wasn't sure who was going to go in second, but then I was very helpfully informed that Prismatic Keenan was also going to be part of the release. So we decided, why not focus on that very special monster for this very special update? And there you go. So if you noticed anything else, please feel free to ask us questions in the comments, and we will do our best to answer.
I'm sure once this episode is uploaded and can be rewatched, people will be pouring over all of the very beautiful illustrations that you made. I know that you mentioned that you're not a great artist, Eric, but I find all of them very endearing. And
they're impressionistic.
They are. But I get the sense of them, and that's really what a storyboard's all about, right?
Exactly. Okay, on to the next question. Back directly towards you, Monster Handler. Matt, I've done enough talking this episode. You're wasting time. That's the name of the person who asks.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Who are the monsters behind the scratch ticket?
Yes. The Monster Scratch ticket available in the nursery has 3 monstrous hands creeping out from behind it. One of them sort of looks like the furry knuckles of a blue gorilla, some sort of simian creature. A second green hand has long pointy claws, and a third is a tentacle snaking along the bottom. I believe it was Monster Handler Chris, the Monster Handler artist Chris, who we've previously had here on my is responsible for some of these decorations on the Monster Scratch ticket. And while I don't think that any one of them is meant to represent any specific monster, I couldn't help but notice that tentacle, specifically its coloration, bore some similarity to some early concept art for one of my favorite monsters. So at this time, I'll ask Monster Handler Michael to throw up the concept art in question, and it is none other than Octopus, that originally had those octopus-like suckers along its various tentacles, and the coloration there, the sort of blue and pink that you can see there on the underside of its tentacles, certainly reminds me of the final tentacle that appears on the Monster Scratch ticket. And here is an interesting sort of behind-the-scenes look as well as at Octopus's transformation. It certainly got better looking, if I may. A face only a monster could love, I think, at the beginning, and then it sort of evolved into the Octopus format that we now know and love, the finalized form that appears in game right now. Oh, is that Monster Handler Michael? Is that you? What a shame. That's okay. But thank you for letting us know, Monster Handler Michael. We'll check it out next week.
Yes.
But you know what? You know what I can do to make up for it? Why don't we draw another giveaway winner while you, Monster Handler Eric, ask me another quick question.
That is an excellent idea. Okay, this question comes from Thwacklins1, and they ask, what are the transparent orbs on the prismatic Dandy-Doo's head that contains its brain made out of? What are those orbs made out of, Monster Handler Matt?
Well, Monster Handler Eric, the transparent orbs on the prismatic Dandy-Doo's head are believed to be composed of some sort of gelatinous material that can conduct synaptic waves throughout it. And of course, you can see the brain there floating in the gelatinous orb. Now, something that's unclear to us at this point, just because Prismatic Dandy-Doo is so brand new to the Monster Handler record, is whether or not this is old, like regular Dandy-Doo's brain that is now floating in this gelatinous orb, or if this is the brain of sort of the new creature that has come to replace Prismatic, or the regular Dandy-Doo, the new Prismatic Dandy-Doo, because of course the whole anatomy and physiology of this monster is turned upside down, whereas what used to be a head tipped with a beak, there's still sort of a beak there, but that appears to be almost like a tail or a tentacle in and of itself, and the new head of the Prismatic Dandy-Doo is actually located around the hips area of the monster. So still not entirely sure what the full body plan is, or whose brain that belongs to specifically, but we do know that the orbs themselves are filled with a gelatinous goo.
Very cool. Lots more to discover with that one.
We've got our next giveaway winner of a fire rare of their choice. And the winner is, can I get a drum roll please, Eric? K! Exclamation mark, K! Exclamation mark, K! Exclamation mark, K! Exclamation mark. There it is. That's the winner. Congratulations. Well done. Let us know your BBB ID in the chat, and we can send you the fire rare of your choice. Sorry, Eric. Back to you.
No, there's always time for a giveaway.
Always.
All right, this next question comes from Urim933098080, and they ask, when Dandy-Doo returns from the prismatic gate, its head feathers, don't know what they're called, is replaced with its brain. So has Dandy-Doo's brain been hidden there, or was it moved somewhere else when it became a prismatic, along the same lines that we were just covering?
Yes, obviously Urim and Thwacklins had similar sort of questions about the new anatomy of Prismatic Dandy-Doo. As I mentioned before, we're not entirely sure. Certainly that brain, though, looks a little bigger than what normally could be stuffed inside the head of a Dandy-Doo. That is, of course, assuming that the Dandy-Doo's anatomy is exactly what we expect, and that the dandy florets on its head, that's what they're called, the dandy florets on the Dandy-Doo's head, do not conceal a rather harrowing secret that a rather large brain is sort of suspended up in those dandy florets. I have to think, based on anecdotal evidence of mischievous sponges sort of blowing away all of the dandy florets on unsuspecting Dandy-Doo's head, that is not the case, and that this expanded brain is some sort of side effect of the prismatic molecular reshuffling.
So mysterious. It's a wild process.
Indeed.
At Woohoos asks, are the blue? Ooh, I got caught off guard. I read ahead and broke through, and it's a very good question. Are the blue spheres on the yellow prismatic Dandy-Doo supposed to resemble the logo of a certain company?
A certain company. Well, Woohoos. I don't know. I can't possibly think of which company you're referring to. No, I'm messing around, of course. Yes, those blue gelatinous orbs do bear some striking resemblance to the Big Blue Bubble logo, of course, home of the Monster Handlers. So I think that was sort of a happy accident that came about as the Prismatic Dandy-Doo was being designed behind the scenes here by the Monster Handlers. But it works out quite nicely, don't you agree?
I love it. I think it's beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, this next question comes from Anime Sims, combining two interests of a particular monster handler. What happens to Whimsies if they let go?
Yes. Because the Whimsies are mostly composed of the sort of patchwork makeshift skins that hold sort of the air that is their essence. And the monstrous hands that grip the earth. If those Whimsies were to detach, I feared that they would be blown far, far away, because remember that there are especially billowy clouds all around Fairy Island, because of course Fairy Island is in the place where Cloud Island used to be. And while Cloud Island is very serene, as attested to in the environment that Prismatic Dandy-Doo can be populated on this weekend, Fairy Island is a fair bit more stormy, but it's like a very pretty storm that you can see sort of off in the distance. So I think it's very important that Whimsies do continue to latch on to the ground of Fairy Island, because if they let go, they might drift away, and the worst thing that can happen to a Whimsy is separated from its sorority of fellow Whimsies.
I knew that song from a particularly Ace-themed movie was Trouble. Let it go.
Why don't we do another giveaway winner, the giveaway winner number 5 for a green Prismatic Dandy-Doo. All right, Eric, why don't you ask me more questions while Monster and the Sydney conjures up the next winner?
Very good. This one comes from Stackant, and they ask, what's the thought process of coming up with the prismatic variations of monsters?
A very great question, Stackant. The prismatic monsters, from a behind-the-scenes standpoint, began with a simple idea of trying to present some of your favorite monsters in different color palettes and different formats. And as we were working on that, we decided, you know what, I think we need to sort of up the ante here, and we need to sort of have both more of a storyline tie-in to the whole world of My Singing Monsters, Dawn of Fire, as well as just sort of pushing the envelope of the design and the creativity of our monster handler artists. And so that's how the Prismatics came to be. In terms of designing the individual variations, it's always important for us to sort of take a look at what the original monster looks like, and then sort of contort and transmogrify it in sort of an opposite feeling way. The recent Prismatic Kana is a good example, whereas, you know, the regular monster definitely represents the fire element well. Its prismatic form sort of leans into the plant sort of affiliation, and has, well, fungal more specifically. That's a different kingdom. More of a fungus affiliation. And so just something that's different. So another great example is the new Prismatic Dandy-Doo taking a bird plant hybrid looking monster and really sort of messing around with it, and this one feels a lot more water-based to me. It looks like it could comfortably live under the sea, perhaps in the living ocean itself. So that's sort of the thought process behind putting all that together. Oh, we've got the winner of our next giveaway selected for winner number 5 of Green Prismatic Dandy-Doo, and it is Rocks Rock. Rock,
Congratulations!
Rock. Congratulations, Rocks Rock. That was sort of a dad joke energy there that I was going for. I hope you enjoyed it, Monster and Eric. All right, let's do a few more questions.
Okay, this one comes from Sasha Just Dancer, and they ask, once the Webblins wake up, do they ever feel the need of sleep again?
So Webblins are very interesting monsters because their life processes don't necessarily match those of monsters that came about through non-supernatural means. Because, of course, the Webblins are a group of monsters handmade, literally, by the Wubbox. And the unique way that they sort of wake up, that is to say, the electrical energy and the potential of monster eggs is converted into a zapped format, and that's the energy that is required to awaken them from their Wubblin statue form. I think that Wubblins, on the whole, require less sleep. Now, you might be wondering, Monster and Eric, well, I can still mute my Wubblins in My Singing Monsters, and they certainly look like they're dozing. It certainly looks like they're sleeping there. Perhaps a clever... Perhaps because we know that everything to do for me with the supernatural family in My Singing Monsters is a little mischief tinged, is a little wily. So it could be that maybe they're very light sleepers. Eric, am I boring you, or is he pretending? He's pretending.
I tricked you.
Oh, Eric, are you a Wubblin?
Yeah. Just call me. I was going to try to come up with a clever spin on Monster Handler, but I had nothing. And with that, we'll move on to the next question. Jackson Harden asks, are the Claculus claws separate entities?
No, they are all still part of the same monster, but they can be said to have something of a mind of their own. Whether or not these are brain impulses that on the way down from the Claculus head sort of develop a mind of their own and end up sort of doing their own thing, so to speak, they are all still part of the same overall monster entity.
Very good. This next one comes from Living Person, and they ask, how do the fire elements find themselves on these magical islands, such as Thrumble on an island in replacement for Cave Island, which it doesn't belong to?
Very interesting question, Living Person, and I'm going to perhaps challenge some of your preconceived notions about where certain monsters belong. We do know, of course, that the magical islands are, and the titans that have come to replace them in those environments are certainly the same places as the outer islands from the era of Dawn of Fire. However, because that was such a long time ago and the historical record is sort of lost to us, there's no specific place where monsters should and shouldn't be as far as the magical islands are concerned. It's worth remembering that to sort of round out the existing monster populations on those magical islands, there's a delegation of natural and fire monsters that go and visit. And whereas it's sort of worked out so far that Rudatoot is there on both Space and Psychic Island, and Ziggurat is there on both Cloud and Fairy Island. That's not to say that that was anything other than some sort of a happy accident. Maybe Ziggurat and Rudatoot feel a little bit more in a deja vu state as they're looking around going, man, this sort of feels a little familiar. But recall, of course, that these aren't maybe the exact same Rudatoots and Ziggurats from all the way back during the era of Dawn of Fire. And I think, for what it's worth, that Thrumble belongs beautifully on Bone Island because, of course, the elements on that island are water and earth and fire. And I feel like water and earth are excellent sort of representatives of everything that Cave Island used to be and that what Bone Island is again. Because, of course, the fossil deposits there sort of suggest that it was the site of an ancient subterranean pool. Very interesting. Well, while you prepare with the next question, Monster Handler Eric, I'll ask Monster Handler Sydney to draw yet another winner, our winner number 6 of a fire rare of their choice. All right, Eric.
Okay, moving on to the next question here from The Deserted Developer. Is it possible to have more colors of whimsies, like perhaps purple?
Well, Deserted Developer, I think that would lend itself perfectly to a Monsterpiece. If you have an idea of what a purple whimsy might look like, I think that the sky's the limit. But not actually, because remember, if they lift up off the ground, they might get
hold on.
You gotta hold on. So the sky is the limit, metaphorically, figuratively speaking. But I think that, as is often the case, we've talked about how Hollow can have different sort of vegetative adornments on the top of its wooden disguise. In that same way, whimsies might be different colors other than the ones that are represented in game. Just for sort of standardization purposes, they all sort of look the same when you collect them in My Singing Monsters. But I think canonically, in lore, different groups of whimsies can join together, and who knows, maybe one sorority of whimsies can be all yellow. Or one can be all colors that we've never even seen before, like teal or chartreuse, or exciting ones like that. So I would say, yes, it is possible to have more colors of whimsies, and I think we have had some Monsterpieces in the past that show some different colors of whimsies. But I would like to see, Deserted Developer, if you wanted to try your hand at creating some art for us to see what your version of a purple whimsy might look like. We've got our winner. We've got our winner of our winner number 6, and it is Alex Games YT. Alex Games YT. Congratulations, Alex Games YT. So please send us your BBB ID /friend code in the chat and let us know which fire rare you would like to have delivered to your account. Okay, that seems like a good amount of questions, wouldn't you say, Monster Handler Eric?
Yes, in fact, you reminded me of something important, Monster Handler Matt, and that's I don't know if we make a point of saying it every episode, but we should say it every couple or few, that if you do want to submit a monster piece or the newly minted Memsterpieces, all you have to do is post it on social media with the hashtag #MyStreamingMonsters so that we can find it and feature it on the show. If it doesn't come up the week that you post it, don't worry, we have a big vault full of them, and we pull from them every week.
Yes.
That's right. And there's at least one other kind of submission you can send in with that hashtag, and that's the Stumped of the Week.
Oh, and in the Stumped of the Week, a member of the community sends in a question and tries to stump me, Monster Handler Matt. Now, normally in our work from home setup, we've had Monster Handler Michael asking these questions, although we've heard from the chat this week that Monster Handler Michael's microphone cannot be heard. That section earlier where he was explaining to us what happened with the missing octopus concept art apparently was just a big stretch of silence. So
the information about the missing information went missing.
That's correct. It was like an inception moment. So, Eric, would you do the honors and please ask this week's stumped question? Apologies to Michael. We'll have you back next week for episode 81, Monster Handler.
That's right. The big 8 one.
The big 8.
For this week, the question comes from Bogart Fan, and they ask, it's a multiple choice, Monster Handler. What version of Dawn of Fire did Cybop come in? A, 1.17. B, 1.19. C, 1.12. Or D, 1.15. And there's no 8s, so you can't just guess based on the episode.
Oh, rats. So what I'm thinking is because before Dawn of Fire 2.0 rolled around, I believe the last main version number of Dawn of Fire was 1.21. And in that release, I believe, was by Sonorous, maybe, which makes Incisor 1.20 and makes Cybop, which I believe was the last natural monster from the era of My Singing Monsters to be released in Dawn of Fire. I hope that makes it version 1.19, counting backwards.
So answer B, 1.19.
That's my guess, 1.19.
That answer is correct. Winner Kenya.
Yes!
Congratulations.
Yes! Thank you very much, Monster Handler Eric, and thank you, Bogart Fan, for sending in a question that I could actually answer. You know, sometimes my information feels selective, but the fates were shining on me today, and thank you.
You are particularly good at version numbers, I must say. Dates and version numbers
sometimes.
Are really... I think that's the information that first inspired us to even make stuff. The fact that you could recall these things, even close, was just insane to me.
Approximate.
And so we had to let the community quiz you. But you won today's Stumped of the Week, so why don't we look into another winner right now?
Yes. So winner number 7 of our giveaway, if we can ask Monster Handler Sydney to grab one of those winners. And you know what? While that's being selected, why don't we launch right into another very popular segment here on My Singing Monsters Live, and that is, of course, Monsterpieces.
Right.
Monsterpieces. So, Michael, we can hear you, but no one else can. So why don't you tell us what we're... Okay, thank you, Mike. So we're beginning with this Monsterpiece by 500 yen coin, and holy smokes, what have we here? We've got a very sweet looking little Periscorp cradled very comfortably in some of Krovlath's tentacles here on Psychic Island. Oh, isn't that sweet? Look at the Z's there drifting up from the sleeping monster. Yes, and one of the critters there on Psychic Island, one of the massive eyes that are connected to Periscorp's sort of organic surveillance system, is perhaps keeping an eye on it while it sleeps, so that no monster tries to come up and play any pranks on it while it's sleeping. Isn't that nice?
That's right. Keeping an eye on it. Very good.
That's right. Okay, next up we've got a masterpiece by Jules Zeno 1. Oh my goodness, this I think is going to be the showdown for the ages. Eric, your Bone Island video has set up a real sort of showdown here. We've got Stog facing off against Clacula. Clacula is saying, "Could you please not bite any of my bones?" And Stog's going, "But I gotta bite them bones. I gotta bite them bones." It's very.
Look at these.
I love Stog.
I love these little fossils that are in the ground there. Very cool.
Sort of a cross section there, and I love the little miner hat that the Clacula is wearing as well.
Yeah, wonderful. A couple of exploring buddies. Love it.
Exactly. Next up, we've got an awesome Gel-Billy here from an artist we featured a couple of times here on My Singing Monsters Live, Marta Vortap. And here is a wonderful. Look at all the details there in the sensorial stachiocols, and a very interesting interpretation of the sort of primary grasping tentacles of the Gel-Billy. They look very much like king crab claws. Very neat, very interesting.
Amazing.
You know what? That brain case reminds me of a certain prismatic that came up this week.
Oh. Interesting.
Perfect time to feature such a monster piece as this. Well done, Marta Vortep. Beautiful. Here, whoa, this is beautiful. From Volant, here we have a lovely, lovely Plinkaju. Look at that long, spindly tail. Look at the detail that you can see in the reflection of the pool. And you know what? This is sort of like, this is the best I think that a Plinkaju can do, because look at that nice soft bedding of moss. Oh, that looks wonderful. I would certainly like to have a nap in that. And look, we've got some birds there, borrowed from on loan from Pechidna there, perched up on the tail. Isn't that wonderful?
And such a beautiful forest that it's in sunlight streaming through. Just amazing all around.
It's lovely. Yes. Oh, and here we have. I love this. I'm getting a very sort of peanutsy vibe from this this thicket of dandy doos.
Yes.
Did you know that that's the collective noun, Eric? A thicket of dandy doos. Here we've got many known forms of the dandy doo. We've got young dandy doo there on the far left, epic dandy doo with its massive dandy floret fro. Several instances of common dandy doo, and then the rare dandy doo, which is sort of gassed in the hat, obsessed up there. And then look what we have here. As mentioned before, there's an unhappy dandy doo that's had all its dandy florets blown away by perhaps
the sponge.
Yes, sponge. But I love the expressions here. Oh, Fizzy here has an excellent monster piece of a very spooky looking ghast. This ghast is not the kind of ghast that you'd want to run into on a dark night if you didn't know the ghasts were friendly. But I love the detail on the plasmic orbs, the long spindly arms. Definitely are giving me spine tingling chills.
I love that it's not so clearly defined. You really get that sense that this is an otherworldly spirit that would be hard, even when seeing it, would be hard to process. Exactly.
Sort of phasing in and out of dimensions. Very cool.
That's right.
Next up, from Flame, we have, it's Gobligord.
Out of season Gobligord.
Yes, so Eric, we both have a soft spot for Gobligord. It seems only yesterday that Feastember made its debut on Firehaven, and this is the first opportunity that players have had to collect Gobligord since its first availability, since Feastember is half a year away. Isn't that wonderful? This seems like a very friendly Gobligord. It's never looked better.
Yes.
What a wonderful.
Very cheery. Excellent art.
Next up, Monster Hunter here has a very smug-looking Wobox.
Very
sort
cool.
of emanating energy. Is that a turtleneck that it's wearing?
Well, maybe makes sense with that long neck.
Yes, but perhaps because there's sort of that electrical energy binding the different parts of the Wobox together, maybe there's no turtleneck on Earth or Monster World that could ever contain the extending neck of the Wubbox, but it's going to do a good old college try on it, and I love the expression on this Wubbox. This reminds me of the smug look that Wubbox gave when it was being interviewed about the Wublins, and was there a connection between them, and it was very coy at the time. When I don't know, I'm getting
that's the look, all right.
Yes.
Very good.
Next up, from Sleepy Scream You. Look at these cute Bisonauruses.
Ooh.
Look, we've got the Emperor there perched up top. We've got the standard Bisonaurus below. Standard Bisonaurus looking very good-natured, looking very happy. Emperor Bisonaurus looks a little peeved, perhaps, a little upset. Maybe the standard Bisonaurus is not giving it enough head scratches. But I'm sure that they can work it out.
Here's what I picture. Standard Bisonaurus said, "Hey, look over there." And then Emperor Bisonaurus did. And then Standard Bisonaurus went, "Hey, got you."
A little narrative. That's how great this Monsterpiece is. It inspires a little bit of storytelling. All right, and our final Monsterpiece here is from Small Fries. And here we've got awesome Thwack. A very popular Wublin, rendered often in Monsterpiece form. And this Small Fries Monsterpiece is no different. Love the sort of hedgehoggian eyes.
Yes.
Perhaps you know which hedgehog I'm referring to.
Yes.
Gotta go fast. Yes, I love this version. It definitely captures the spirit of the original while still representing it in a unique style.
Very, very cool.
And speaking
of
Wublins, here we have a relatively new addition to My Singing Monsters Live, but we like to cap off the end of our Monsterpiece gallery with a Memsterpiece. So, Monster Handler Eric, would you like to dictate this particular offering?
Oh, sure. I'll read the text, and you feel free to explain the album title here. The text says, "When you get an ethereal, but wanted the triple elemental for a Wublin."
Oh, that's you're suffering from success. DJ Khaled here is when you don't mean to breed that ethereal, but you do anyways because you're just too darn good of a monster. So well done.
Very funny.
You can submit your Memsterpieces the same way that you can submit your Monsterpieces using hashtag #MyStreamingMonsters. Okay, I'm going to announce the winner of giveaway number 7. And that is the Green Prismatic Dandy-Doo, and that is Anonymous Man. I hope that's the actual name of that user, because otherwise, how will we know where to give it? So that's Green Prismatic Dandy-Doo for Anonymous Man. Please send us your BBB ID /friend code, and I'll ask Monster and the Sydney to grab the very last, the 8th and final giveaway that we're going to do, this episode 80 of My Singing Monsters Live, and that's going to be a fire rare of their choice. Oh, holy moly, Eric. There's been a lot to go through this week.
Busy
week.
To go
through, but you know what? It was a special episode because of episode 80, so we wanted to make sure that we dropped a couple of special things in there. Too bad about my octopus concept art, but you know what? That's why we have episodes every week of My Singing Monsters. And we hope that you enjoyed this episode. If this was your very first episode tuning in, I bet that there are some people in the comments that have seen every single one, Monster Handler Eric.
That's right. I could believe it. We definitely have an amazing community, as evidenced by the Webby Award that they voted for us for. We know that you guys are passionate about My Singing Monsters. We love that you guys love it, and that's why we're here every week, putting on the show for you, answering your questions, trying to stump Monster Handler Matt, and showing off the amazing artwork and Monsterpieces that you guys spend your time putting together. There's no better way to spend my Friday, Monster Handler.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Monster Handler Eric. We have our 8th and final winner of our giveaways this week. I'd like everyone in the chat to send hearts for Monster Handler Sydney, who has been working so hard to make sure that she successfully grabs all the winners this week. And the 8th and final winner is ASMR Roach. Congratulations, ASMR Roach. You win a fire rare in My Singing Monsters of your choice. So please send us your BBB ID /friend code and the fire rare that you'd like delivered to your account. Well, Monster and Eric, that just about wraps up this episode 80 of My Singing Monsters Live. It's a glorious, glorious time to be a My Singing Monsters and Dawn of Fire player, because there's so much exciting stuff happening every week, and we love covering it here on My Singing Monsters Live. This week, we will be concluding our episode with something that we found on Instagram, an absolutely incredible and awe-inspiring collaboration between many talented individuals. And this is their Plant Island project by Baloo Kalele, great username. And they do an exceptional job of modularly putting together all the different monster parts on Plant Island into the final format. And you know what? Props to many of these performers. Sometimes they sound almost indistinguishable from the real thing. They've done an exceptional job, and we really hope that you enjoy their performance. Monster Handler Eric, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me here on this episode 80 of My Singing Monsters Live. I'm shaking your hand.
Yes,
can you feel it? There we go.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next week for episode 81 of My Singing Monsters Live. Please enjoy this Plant Island project by Baloo Kalele. And until next time, happy...
Bum, 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 They sleep when it gets cold, and they stir. They turn red and they turn gold, and it's a blood and wonder and many years to keep them alive. That's how plants grow. That's how plants grow. Shoo